welcome to our very first Genesis podcast episode number 1.
Yes, sir.
Let's get started right away. But before we get started, we're going to just give a brief introduction. My name is Jason.
My name is Colin.
Desmond.
Carmelo.
And once again, this is the very first episode of the Genesis podcast. How you guys doing today, man?
Oh, man. I'm doing good. I'm excited right now.
I know.
I'm very excited.
I'm good.
Yup.
This is season 1, episode 1. Genesis, the beginning.
Yep. This is big moves right here.
This is big moves, man.
Yep.
I'm ready to get into this. This is going to be really good. I'm excited for what we're going to be talking about and what we have stored.
Right. Say no more, fam. Say no more. Let's get right into it. So, I just want to kind of give an introduction. I want to give people an introduction of what we're about. You know, what we really are aiming to talk about and how we came to be. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't know. Right? We just sprung up on them Genesis podcasts. Right? They're wondering, who are these guys?
People probably don't even like the name. You know?
They probably don't even like the name. Genesis. Why'd you guys choose Genesis?
I know,
right? There's a reason for it, though.
Yeah.
Right? And we're going to explain that right now.
Okay.
Who wants to start us off?
Man, for me, when I thought about, our name for this podcast and what Genesis meant, it was really about the creation, the startup, about something new for us, just starting this podcast and really gearing towards, men in the faith and mostly people who are, not walking with Christ, those who need, to listen to the gospel, hear the gospel message, and really take in a lot of things that they can peel out of our lives, And so when you think about Genesis, you read the book of Genesis, you obviously hear about, just the creation, how God created earth, but, also just the creation of man, and the fall of man, and so definitely, man is very present, and it's, very, very, it's just a phase of life where, when you think about the beginning of something, there's so many things that you want to get into. There's so many things that you need to learn and you can grow from. And so it was just fitting for me to just kind of, have a name for our podcast as Genesis,
Right.
being something that we're doing, from the start, and really, what we're trying to do in terms of reaching other people and really trying to impact lives.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know for me, I know most people, for me, I think, I have 2 Genesis in my life, 2 beginnings. Obviously the day that you're born, you live your life.
Mm-hmm.
But the Genesis that I really more enjoy and care and to talk about today is the Genesis, of when I met Christ,
Yes.
Because, you have a Genesis where you're born, that the Bible says you're born in sin, You're born in a sinful, fallen world where you need that rebirth in Christ. You need to be born again, to enter this Genesis, which is salvation within Christ that could lead you into eternal life. Because before I even came to know Christ, I was living a sinful life, a real sinful life, having sex outside of marriage, on the block every day, living, thinking I was a rude boy, Jane and Finch. Smoking weed. All my friends out there, we're walking around with guns. We're hustling. We're trapping. We're trying to live that life that Styles P and D Block and them talk about. You know what I mean? It's it's real talk. That's the life that we wanted, and that's the goals that we attained for what we seen in these rap videos. And coming into Christ now showed me that me being on the block smoking weed and just out there all day. That's a dead life. That's sinful. That's not going to lead you nowhere. Even living those lives, I thought I was going to go into heaven. I thought I did some righteous and good things, but, our mind is so corrupted and so, stained towards in sin that we begin to deceive ourselves living in a sinful world and a fallen world. But we begin to see these light now as coming into Christ, that you need to separate yourself from those things and be born again, be brand new in Christ.
Yes.
The block life is a dead life. You're not going to go nowhere with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's the beginning of a new thing, beginning of my, I would say, my Christianity, there's a saying that says, there's one thing to be born and there's one thing to know. There's one thing to be born, and there's one other thing to have a purpose and know your purpose for this life, and that's when you're born again. So, man, I never knew my purpose until I met God, right? So I was just chasing these material things to fuel myself until I met God and actually found my real purpose of why God created me and why He placed me on earth, and to do His work and to live for Him. So yeah, so I'd say that was the beginning of the beginning for me, of my new life. Yeah.
Perfect. So for anybody that is listening, we are the Genesis Podcast because of those reasons. But
many reasons, right?
This is the beginning of something great. I could tell you for sure this is the beginning of something great. We plan on, bringing a lot of content, talking about, things that go as far as, being a new convert, how it was being a new convert, and, maybe even talking about, I don't know, relationships, right? I'm just kidding. But our main goal, main objective is to talk about the Christian experience, right? Talk about hot topics that many Christians might think about and might want to conversate about, right? So that's our goal, all right. And but the most important thing is to obviously preach Jesus, right, and let people know why we need Jesus, why everybody needs Jesus, right, and why we're doing this, right? So that was the opening. We just decided that it was probably a good idea to let you guys know what's going on.
Yes.
But let's get into the nitty gritty. We all have a testimony. We all have a story, right?
Yep.
We all have a beginning, like you guys said, right? So why don't we start off there, right? Because I don't think there's some people that might be listening that don't know our testimony, don't know how we came to know Jesus. So let's fill them in on how we came to know Jesus and how we became, right, the men that we are today.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so many things you can share, I guess, in a testimony. I'll make it brief as I possibly can. But really, for me, really started off young, a life of sin, just rebellion. But as a child, really it starts with like sexual sin. Really, as a child and growing up, you get into from there you get into a situation where where you're playing sports. And for me personally, it was something like basketball. Playing basketball, it was kind of like my outlet. And so my life, I kind of found my identity in sports, mainly basketball, and filled my life with sinful things. Got into smoking and drinking. Through that, just really, I didn't even think I'd get myself into that, but just with having friends around in that vicinity, in that environment, you find yourself in those compromising situations,
right?
And it really got to a point where it felt like so many chances that God was calling me, and I was rejecting God, and I was trying to follow my own will and my own desires, and ended up going away for school. And in university, that's kind of where it took another toll, as sin really got more deep. I started getting deeper into sin, I should say. It was really anxiety that was something that I was struggling with a lot. It became a serious battle, trying to, just get my mind in order and trying to do things on my own. It didn't really work out that way. And I remember, I guess 2 years into university, this was about 2016 or so, me, I kind of was a visitor in church for many years, probably like 2-3 years, just going back and forth because of school. And, coming back, I remember, we had these like Bible study classes that we used to have at other people's houses and so on. I remember we did like little altar calls. So after that, but it was really short-lived for me. And that time, I really did not, it felt like maybe I was doing out of, real desperation or so, but not understanding that, that what God really wanted for me in terms of a relationship with me. And so I fell really back into just kind of doing my own thing. So I didn't consider that my salvation that time. It was just Christmas time in 2016. I didn't consider that time as my the time I gave my life to Christ, because it felt like it was short-lived. It was something that wasn't genuine. And a couple of years later, in June, I remember this was in June of 2018. That's when I, gave my life to Christ. I was invited to a church service, actually the church I used to go to prior when I was in school, and someone invited me back again. I went back to church, and really it wasn't for me something that, happened right away, but going to church more often, and then coming back here after school, I made that decision to just always be in church and serve God. And I came to a point where, I was really lost, and I was searching, my life was not heading anywhere, and I was really struggling mentally. So I needed God to really help me and save me. And so I cried out to Christ, and, Jesus came and helped me and saved my life. And, I've been living for Christ ever since. I've seen God do a lot of things in my life. There's still a lot of things that, I'm overcoming every day. And I think a lot of people need to realize that when you give your life to Christ, it's not something that you give your life to Christ and, boom, God's going to handle everything. It really does take time, right? And so you really have to allow, God to work those things in your life. And so I, ever since I gave my life to Christ, I've seen God advance me, help me in ministry. I've seen my confidence grow. I've seen God deliver me from a lot of sin, sexual sin, things like, smoking, drinking, bad company, stuff like that. And so he's really, really helped me along the way. And then my life has been better ever since. So.
Amazing. Perfect. That's a great testimony right there. Anyone else?
That was a good testimony. That was a very good testimony.
I mean, I almost feel like saying, all right, guys, that's a wrap. That's, right? But I know, the rest of us here have something that we want to share too. So, I guess we'll continue on with, our brother Colin.
All right. So, my testimony goes like this. I'm from a religious home. I was a church boy. I was a church kid. My parents were like elders in the church, so kids church. Played the drums, drummer team, all the school stuff. Then I graduated to adult church. Then I started sleeping in church. I found the sermon boring, and I couldn't really connect at that point, and I was just drifting away. Then my parents sent me to Canada when I was young, and I just drifted further away from God. And I was going to church still, but I wasn't really living for God, to be honest. Right. It's more like a duty just to just show up there and just, okay, I fulfill all righteousness, I'm in church. And that's it, right? So, but we'll go to church. Me and my friends go to church on Friday night. We go to the club. We do all sorts of nonsense. And on Sunday, we come back to church. I ask God for forgiveness.
Wow.
The next week, we do the same thing. It was a cycle. And, man, I kept doing that for years and years and years. And I thought I was safe. I thought I was good. And as far as I'm not stealing, I'm not killing anybody. I'm not. I'm not a drinker. I don't smoke. So I felt I was a good kid, right? I'm still in school and everything. I finished school, then I moved because I used to live in the western side of Canada, which is a province called Saskatchewan. Then I did school in there. Then I was done school and I moved to Toronto, Ontario, and looking for a work opportunity, just looking for money to fuel myself, chasing money, chasing that paper, But I was just working. I wasn't really living for God. I was just humanizing, talking to 5 girls at the same time.
Hey!
And,
Wow.
I was a big humanizer, to be honest. I was a very big humanizer. That's one thing God delivered me from.
Solomon,
My word.
But man, it was terrible. And then it got to a point where I was going to church and I met my wife. It wasn't my wife then, and I fornicated and she became pregnant. I was like, man, this is a place I have never, like, this is a problem I've never encountered in my life before. This is new. I was so confused. I was like, man, I was still going to church then, but I wasn't really locked in. I was still doing nonsense. I was living a double life, and man, that God used that situation to slow me down and say, hey man, you need me now, man. Now you need me. And that situation, I was so confused. I was so down. I was at my lowest point. And it's one thing my dad always said to all of my dad had 6 boys, and they always told us that, man, if you guys get pregnant, just prepare to marry that girl. You're not having no kids out of wedlock. And with that statement stuck in my head over the years, and I'm like, okay, I gotta get married. And I was so young. I was like, I just turned 25. I was young, but not young. But it was 25, expecting a baby, have a new wife, and man, I was depressed, man. I was so depressed, and I ran to God that time, and I started to, pray, started to give my time to God, and stay devoted, and man, and God started to help me gradually and started to change me. And to be honest, man, it took a while for me to actually lock in, and it took that thing to happen to me for me to actually turn to God for help. And I don't know, I don't know why we Christians, it takes us, something really bad to happen for us to actually say, okay, I'm going to surrender to God this time around. But that it took that situation for me to actually, lock in and give my life to God fully. But, yeah.
Wow. That yeah. that's that's very, very good. I mean, your dad is definitely, a wise man to tell you, right, to get married. I think we can all agree with this statement. Most black men get a girl pregnant, 25 years old. You're still in your prime.
Yeah.
25, you're still in your prime.
Years old.
Yeah.
Right? Most black men are leaving.
Yeah.
Gone. Kid who? Kid when?
Is it sure it's mine?
That's a jacket, fam.
That's a jacket there.
Man.
But it's so funny how you said, like, it takes something wrong in their lives to bring us to Christ. I feel like that was the same thing that happened to me. It was not until like me and my cousin's house, because I was me and my cousin had an apartment by ourselves, and because we wanted to move out, want to be big man, like living out here, no more rules, go out and do what we want. So we lived, and then the feds raided our crib. And then they found a gun, and then we got locked up.
Snap.
And it was like we got bailed. We came out like a month after, so then it was like until 6 months later, summertime, I'm chilling in my neighborhood. Me and my neighbor were always arguing about God, because we believe in God. You're black.
Yeah.
We were dragged to church by our uncles, aunts, grandmas, whatever. We go to church. And we're there talking, and we're like, the man is like, yo, I don't know who God, and the man's black, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not too sure. Like, what if you die and it's a jinx? I'm like, bro, you fried? Jesus is God, bro.
Yeah.
And we're there debating, and I'm telling the man that Jesus is God. Yeah. We know this, but I'm still doing my nonsense. I'm still in the streets. I'm still smoking my weed. And the man went and told his sister, which is Jackie, like, this guy over here is believing in Jesus. Jack. And I don't know, Jackie didn't even catch me in the neighborhood one time. She caught me at the bus stop, She caught me at the bus stop, and then she's like invited me to come out to church. She used to call me. She used to be consistent. I used to give her beer excuse, a lounge of beer excuses. And then one day I went to church, and then all of a sudden I started going. And then I breached my curfew. And then when you breach a curfew, like if you're on charges, right? Because I'm still on gun charges.
Yeah.
And if you breach your curfew, you get put back in jail. So I went back in jail, and like now I'm in jail, and I'm going to church. I'm going to church, but I breached my curfew, so I'm in jail now. And I don't know, my cellmate, this guy had like a big mural, like Mary on his back with the cross praying, like it's like the 16 chapels designed on his back. And you know, he's there and he's talking about Christ, because when you go to jail, there's mere Bibles. Everybody's there with a Bible.
Have a Bible
It's like God was like giving me a choice at the same time. It's like beer, and it's like I'm telling you, it's like my haha moment is like when this African guy in jail, the man's like, from the grave to the cross, from the cross to the sky, Father, I lift your name up on high. He's like, what are you talking about? Jesus is God. Jesus is God. I'm like, holy smokes. It's like when he's saying that, I felt it. You know, it's like I had a jailhouse conversion, but I was going to church at the same time because I was interested in the church. Was different, you know, young people as a vibe. You know, I'm building relationships there. I'm all bringing my friends to church. You know, hey, come to this. But yeah, I was still in the streets involved, but it's not until I went to jail that time, it was like I was given a clear-cut choice. Like, when you come out of jail, do you go back to church or do you go back to the world?
To the streets?
You know, but as soon as I came out of jail, I called Jackie and I'm like, yeah, this is what happened. I was locked up, blah, 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 blah. They didn't even know I was on charges the whole time I was in church. Yeah, I'm on charges, you know, that's why I was coming to church, you know, God help me. Thank God, you know, charges got thrown out, dismissed, everything.
Praise God, man.
You know, and I'm here today, bro. That's my genesis. That's what brought me to Christ, you know. That's what brought me to Christ. It's funny you said that.
Wow. It's crazy how everybody has a different story, right? You know, everybody has a different, you know,
testimony. That's a good thing about testimonies, man. It's like, you know, you can never get tired of them, man. Everybody has a new story. Everyone has something they can share. And so I mean, wow. Like we have
says it, man. They overcame them by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah,
man. Wow, man.
It's crazy, man.
I mean, I almost feel like just, you know, foregoing mine and just saying, hey, you know, let's just chalk it up. You know what I mean? Right?
End it here.
Just end it here, right?
Nah, bro. We're not doing that, bro. You're sharing your testimony, bro.
Who's Jason, bro?
Look, man.
Mr. PIA.
So let me, I'll share it very briefly. So, I was 16 years old, right? 16 years old. I'm a teenager in high school now. Especially in Toronto, right? In an urban area like Toronto, most, you know, young, you know, teenagers, right? You know, black teenagers, right? You either wanna be a basketball player, right?
Or one of the mandem.
Or exactly, you want to be a mandem, you want to be a rapper, but you want to be something to that effect. You know, I chose, you know, I wanted to play basketball, right? Now, I'm not here saying that I was any good. I'm not trying to say anything like that. I'm just gonna say I chose to play basketball. I don't want Master to go search my name and be like, yeah, I don't even see this guy. I chose to play basketball. I'm not saying I was good. I chose to play basketball.
You're not giving no details.
No details. But, you know, I chose to play basketball, right? And, you know, just being 16 years old, that's what I gave myself to. And, you know, I truly believed, you know, being a teenager that, you know, if I were to die, I'll make heaven my home, right? Because, you know, sincerely, I felt like I was a good kid. Right, like most people would say, oh, you know, I don't steal, I don't kill anybody. Well, stealing is definitely a lie. I did steal a lot, but you know, I didn't kill anybody. I don't do this, I don't do that. I'm a good person, right? So I remember, right, walking through the mall one time with my buddy. Right, we're just coming home from basketball practice. You know, walking through the mall, we're picking up food. Right, he stops at McDonald's. I tell people this story all the time. Right, he stops at McDonald's. Right, he's grabbing lunch. Right, I didn't have McDonald's money. Right, I had money for a small pizza square and 75 cents pop from the convenience store. So I walked to Pizza to get myself a small pizza square and 75 cents pop. As soon as I cut the corner, right, to walk into the pizza store, I am ambushed, right, by this one guy, right? It felt like there was a whole bunch of them, but it was just him. Comes up to me and he witnesses to me, tells me about Jesus. And as soon as he starts, right, it's like conviction hits. Because the first question he asked me is that if I were to die today, where would I go, heaven or hell? Mind you, the whole time, right, I'm thinking, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm going to heaven, I'm going to heaven. But when he asked me that question, I stopped and I thought about it.
Yep.
And I was like, shoot, he's actually asking me this question. Inside, I'm like, I might be going to hell. But my mouth said something different. I said, you know, I think I'll go to heaven. And the moment I said that, it opened up the floodgates for him to just...
He's coming at you.
He came at me with everything he had. And that conversation, it changed my life. Definitely changed my life. Now, he did invite me out to church, right? He asked me for my number. I gave him a fake number, right? Because yes, you know, I was convicted. Yes, you know, I was really moved and it changed me. But I'm 16 years old. I don't want to go to church. You know, like 16-year-olds don't want to go to church. Most 16-year-olds don't want to go to church.
In this generation,
Most 16-year-olds don't even know what church is.
I know.
Right?
In this generation.
So I gave him a fake number and I kept it moving. I thought that was the last time I would see this man. I'm like, okay, yeah, he convicted me. Yeah, God, you got me. But yo, I'm never going to see him again. So maybe 3 years from now, you could get me again. That was my mindset. So next week, guess what? I'm with my friend again. Walking through the mall again. He stops at McDonald's. I still don't have McDonald's money. So what do you think I'm doing? I'm going to Pizza.
Trying to get that pizza square again with
Trying to get that
75
pizza
cents.
square. Exactly. You know.
a long time
You
ago.
know. Right? And
Oh man.
Wait, was that your go-to?
that was my go-to.
When you
I
didn't have
know.
money or all the time?
That's all man's go-to, bro. 75 cents square, bro. Like 75.
He said 75 cent.
175.
75 cent pop.
175.
75 cents pop. And the square was like 150.
It was, yeah, 150?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember those, bro.
Pizza?
Pizza.
Bro.
Wow, I remember that.
So it's pops to 75 cents.
No.
Nah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
At
where you
least
get
150
where
now.
you getting that deal from?
Convenience store.
Oh, convenience store.
Yeah.
I thought you said pizza, bro.
Yeah, so I would go to Pizza, get the pizza square, and then I'll go to convenience store, get the 75 cent
Yeah.
pop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You gotta do it, bro.
You gotta do it.
Yeah.
Gotta diversify the fun.
You have to. You know what I mean? Sometimes you go to Rabba. Get get 3 croissants for 99 cents.
You walk over to Tim Hortons, get your coffee.
I know
hot chocolate over Timmy's,
you
bro.
know, I know the moves, bro. I know the moves. Had to
Bro.
survive, man.
So
Had to
paint
survive.
this picture, man. You say you at McDonald's.
At McDonald's, right? Stop at McDonald's. My friend, he stops there. He's like, yo, I must grab food here. I'm like, all right. I still don't have money, so I have to go to Pizza. So I go to Pizza, right? And guess who I see?
That same guy.
Same guy. And he was so excited to see me. And I was shocked. I was like a deer in headlights. Oh, no, not this guy again.
Divine encounter or something like that.
And you know what? He stopped me again. You know, we had a conversation. He's like, yeah, man, I tried to call you. And I was like, you know, yeah, you know, I gave you a, you know, at the time I didn't tell him I gave him a fake number, but like I kind of like, I said, oh, let me see the number that you had. I'm like, oh yeah, the number is wrong. No, one number was off, and you know, stuff like that. But you know, I really felt convicted. And I having that conversation with him again, right? It's like God was giving me a second chance. God was like, all right, you messed up the first time.
Yeah.
Right? All right, you messed up the first time, right? You tried to wrestle me, right? You lost. Right? Now I'm going to dislocate your hip. Right? But all jokes aside, you know, it's like God's like, all right, this is your second chance. Do it right. And you know what? You know, I gave him my real number. Came out to church that following Sunday, and you know, got saved. And ever since then, my life changed.
Wow.
Then I hit the streets, outreach. Shout out to my boy. I'm gonna keep it there.
That's good, man. Wow.
That's crazy.
Yo, I feel like everybody has powerful testimonies, and you know, obviously there's so much more you can get into. You know, you can share your testimony and just go crazy, you know, about, you know, where you've been and, you know, how God has advanced your life and, you know, what God is doing for you now, right? There's so many things you can share in a testimony.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really good, man. I feel like, you know, for us, man, those people who are listening, anyone who's listening right now, there's so many things that you can take, you know, from, you know, everyone's testimony, you know, and I think when you come to Christ, you realize that, man. Sometimes, you know, I know for me, I came to church and I'm like, man, no one can relate to me. You know what I mean? Like, yo, come on, man. These people, you guys look all clean and cut. You guys have a haircut, get a haircut, fresh lineup every week. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, you guys can relate to me, man. You know, then I'm figuring, oh, this guy, you know, I didn't grow up in the hood, right? I grew up nice in a nice area, Brampton. And so, I mean, I'm looking, you know, people are, you know, in the hood, you know, down there in church. And so I came from thinking, okay, people can't relate to me, to, okay, only church is only for those who are bad. You know, only people who are bad kids, you know, I don't steal. I'm not a murderer. So why do I need church? You know what I mean? And then after a while, you build a relationship, you get in church, you understand, like, wow, really? You went through that in life? Like, what? You're going through this? Wow. You know, and even to this day, it amazes me sometimes. You know, I hear people's testimonies. I'm like, wow.
Testimonies are powerful, man.
Very
I know.
Yeah,
I always love hearing testimonies. Always, man. Hear the stuff that people go through.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Crazy. If I could ask one question. I know we don't want to go on long. Like, what was your haha moment? I know for me, like, when I realized all of this, it was like, one time I was ironing my clothes. And I'm like, bro, I'm dressing up to go to church right now. I'm like, dang, this is real, eh? Your life is changing. You're not doing the same thing that you used to do, you know? No more weed. You finally quit weed. All this is you try to stop, but like, wow.
Man, for me, I feel like there was a couple, but I know for one that stands out for sure, man. I got to a point where my friends and people who were just around me, man, like, they were looking at me like, yo, something about you is different, man. Like, what's going on with you, man? You know what I mean? I really didn't want to hang out with them. Even simple things like playing dominoes. I'm like, nah, I don't want to play dominoes. I love playing basketball. Yo, let's go play basketball. I'm like, nah, I'm going to sit this one out. You know, I just didn't really want to hang out with certain people anymore. You know, my just the feeling, you know, in me was just different. You know, I didn't know at the time really was the Holy Spirit just speaking to me, working in my life, you know, and telling me, you know, that he had something planned for my life. You know, he didn't really want me to be in a certain environments, right? So that was for me, man. When I kind of looked at people and I was just like, you know, I don't really want to, you know, be around you guys anymore. I don't really want to do this, you know. And it wasn't,
your identity's changed.
Yeah, you know, it was at that time. I guess it was maybe a little bit scary for me because I didn't really know what was going on, right? But and, you know, now I realize like, nah, it was the Holy Spirit, you know. So,
For me, it was when I went to school, right, and I started preaching to my friends, right? I mean, at the time, like, I didn't really view it as that. It was just like it's like if you find something, right? If you buy something good, right, that benefited your life, you're gonna tell your friends, right? So that's what I did. I didn't know I was preaching. I didn't know what I was doing. I went to school and I was like, yo, guys, I went to church, man, and yo, it was amazing, man. Like, I just feel so much. I couldn't even explain it to people. All I could tell people is like, yo, I feel so different. You guys need to experience this too. And I was walking around the school telling all my friends this, right, and that's when I realized, I'm like, yo, something's different about me. Right, it's like it literally, like, obviously, you know, there's a lot that God, you know, had to do with me in that. In those moments, I was still a teenager, still had, you know, a wild mind, right? Raging hormones filled with a whole bunch of nonsense, right? But one thing I could say for sure is that, right, after getting saved, is that, you know, my priorities did change. Like, instead of it just being about, you know, me focused about me, my life, it was like it was like, yo, it's Jesus now, yo, Jesus church. It's like, I'm excited to be in church. I want to see people in church, right? And I think that's what that was the moment for me when I went to school, and I was just like, yeah, guys, you guys have to come to church. Come, yo, let's go together, bro. Like, this is amazing, right? Yeah, man, yeah. Sorry, man. Just talking about it, kind of like having flashbacks. It's like, man, I want to go back.
Yeah.
I want to go back to those days.
I know what you mean, man.
Yeah, for me, my aha moment was, when I started coming to church, I used to live in a house I used to have roommates. So these guys, they bring all sort of girls in, and you just do nonsense with them. So my aha moment was when they brought girls, like, yo, take this girl, man, take her. I'm like, I'm like, nah, man, it didn't feel right.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, no, I can't do this anymore. I left the house.
Wow, man.
That's
that
a
is
big one right there. That's a big one right there.
Solomon walked out the castle, bro.
The womanizer, bro. The former woman. That's a big one right there, bro.
God tested me there.
Bro,
Wow, man.
You should have ran out the house like Joseph.
Yo, that's a big one,
That's a big
man.
one right there.
Yeah.
Take this one here. And then you say, no.
Some mans would have failed that test. Some mans would have failed that test. Take which one? This one? Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, man, some guys will take that and repent tomorrow, bro. They'll just say,
That's funny.
man, yo, Genesis podcast, man. I love this, man.
Yeah.
Episode number
amazing.
1, man.
This is good, man.
This is good, man. Yo, let's end it off. Outro. It's good, man. It was a good episode. We talked about a lot, talked about our testimonies, and so much that we want to get into, for next time. But, we thank everybody for listening. Anyone have final words?
See you next time. Or hear us next time.
Oh, listen to the next episode. Stay tuned.
Definitely.
Stay tuned.
What Colin and Mello said, right? Listen to the next episode. See you next time. If we don't see you next time, right? I know this is audio, so you can't really see us,
next time.
and we can't see you.
Listen up.
But if we don't see you next time, there's gonna be problems. But now, all jokes aside, tune in, right? You guys will definitely like the next episode, right? But this is the Genesis podcast. This is the Genesis cast, right? And this is Jason signing out.
This is Colin signing out.
This is Desmond signing out.
I'm signing out. Mello.
Boom.
See you guys next week.
What's up, guys? This is Jason from the Genesis podcast. And if you're wondering, where are these guys from? Well, I'll tell you. We're from the Proclaim Church, located at 31 Edgar Avenue, North York, Ontario. Now, if you want more information, you can always go to proclaimchurch.ca, where you will find a list of our activities. If you need a church you want to come to, you don't have a church, you're always welcome, right, to come to ours. Again, website is proclaimchurch.ca. Go there and you'll find all the information you need.